now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
What is going on, RBLR Nation? You are tuning in to the Rays portion of RBLR Sports. I am your host, Zach Blaine, and here with me is my one and only Mr. Ben Whitelaw, the co-host of the show. How are you doing today, brother?
Hey, how's it going? We just saw the Rays win their second game of the series against the Royals.
Yeah, I mean, the Rays look like the Rays again, man. They look. This whole week has been just really good baseball from them.
Yeah, it's been awesome from, finishing off that series against Baltimore with a win, taking 2 out of 3 in New York, and now they've taken 2 out of 4 so far. 2 out of 3 so far in a 4-game set against the Royals. Margot and Harold are back. Other guys are coming back, so it's good right now.
Yeah, no, it's been awesome. So I know we just kind of did a little recap, but what's some big takeaways for you this week?
I think that probably the biggest takeaway is that everybody who's listening right now should subscribe to whatever social media is, like us, follow us, do all that. And then probably the next biggest takeaway would be the pitching staff is just rolling right now. Like everybody's contributing in some capacity. Everyone is, in a role that works for them. So it's pretty cool to see that. And the bats are coming around. They're definitely getting a little bit more consistent with, other guys coming back to the major league lineup.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of guys coming back, we got to see Manuel Margot tonight, which was a first time since, I believe, July 20th or something along those lines.
Yeah, ever since he got injured crashing into the wall after Aaron Hicks got an extra strike from the umpire. So that I really blame that injury on whatever home plate umpire was back there that day. But
this is probably Angel Hernandez.
Probably he's blind.
So this week, man, I know we've been doing our topics and we go into our stuff afterwards. What do you want to hit first? You want to hit our topics or you want to hit our weekly little overview first?
We'll do our topics first, I think, because it'll kind of lead into that, and I think yours should go first because mine doesn't really contribute to that as much.
No, perfect. So mine is a little bit of a throwback to last week's episode, which if you guys haven't listened to, I highly recommend. But we're both on the same thought process of the Rays are still a playoff team. They're going to be a playoff team. But what do you think needs to be what needs to happen in order for them to get there? What players do we need? Who needs to continue playing the way they are? Just the basic concept of that.
I guess just continue to hit the ball hard. They're hitting the ball, the quality of the at bat has been the same since the beginning of July, really. The results have just kind of fluctuated because that's how baseball is. But now they've got more guys who are good at hitting the ball hard, so it's working out better.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And that's my topic this week. Like I said, it's going to be a short little topic, but it's just I think that a lot of the players are stepping up, and they're not playing necessarily better, but they're playing. We're getting more things to fall our way is what it feels like. And I think that we need to continue to just play the way that we are. And at this point, kind of hope that things go our way with hard hit balls and stuff. So it feels like it's just a keep it up, keep doing what we're doing and get to the playoffs.
Yeah. And the Rays are still fully in control of their own destiny. They don't have to rely on anybody, which is nice because, Baltimore kind of has to rely on other teams. Minnesota, they're kind of out of it, but they're still in it. So they're trying to rely on other teams. But yeah, the Rays, Mariners, Toronto, Orioles, these are all guys are all teams that are still, in control of their destiny, despite there being 3 playoff spots. So it's, it's going to be a nice race down the stretch, but the Rays are kind of in one of the driver's seats right now.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And I know that I've agreed with you a lot already this episode, but that tends to be how it goes. But what is something that makes you hopeful still as far as with us being so confident in them making the playoffs, what is the main thing that makes you hopeful in this conversation?
Just I think the way the bullpen has been managed all season, like everybody is still fresh, ready to go. Nobody's kind of hitting like a dangerous workload limit. I know this week it was a little chaotic because they were just throwing every reliever out there in the New York series, but like as a whole, like throughout the whole season, there's nobody that they really have to pump the brakes on. So it's just a really comfortable situation. And I still think we're going to need some contributions from Yanni Chirinos, Brendan McKay, Kevin Herget, which is cool that he just got called up recently. But somebody like a multi-inning guy is going to have to contribute at some point, and I think it's going to happen soon. And then throughout September when rosters expand. So I don't know. What are you most hopeful about going forward?
Yeah, I think the way that everything's been managed so far is kind of what we expect as far as like Kevin Cash and Kyle Snyder. They're phenomenal for a reason. Something that's got me hopeful though is seeing that our lesser known players, some of our guys that aren't our star players, or some people that we picked up this year, are stepping up and playing the way that they are, which is going to make your topic a little bit harder once we get there. But it's something that seeing these guys that maybe haven't performed all that well over their career and come to the Rays and perform the way that they are, it makes me hopeful that, that's why we're here.
Yeah, like somebody like Harold Ramirez. I know Yu Chang has been pretty good lately. Couple relievers like Brooks Raley, Jason
Yeah,
Adam. Jason Adam has been huge. Like I
phenomenal.
probably like the MVP out of that bullpen. I know Fairbanks is probably the best guy in there right now, but just the work that Adam has done has been incredible. Um, Even Jeffrey Springs, kind of like he was acquired as just like a reliever, and now they've really gotten a whole nother level out of him. So lots of contributions from some of the fringe guys, and that's just really where the Rays kind of make their mark in the league, is by getting in the players that nobody else really seems to value much, and then extracting some kind of excess value, whether it's like Ralph Garza eating up innings to keep Jason Adams' arm healthy all season, or like the extreme cases like Harold Ramirez, where he's a contributing member of the lineup like every single day. So they don't miss out on value from really anywhere in the lineup.
Yeah, and I feel like we always compliment, the Rays front office and how good they are, but I feel like the continued success of that, just these fringe guys that other people are letting go. Like Yu Chang, we literally picked him up off waivers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So it's like just these guys that other teams are literally just getting rid of. Like we're bringing them in and making them. I don't know if we're making them look really well or really good, but they're coming over and contributing like they're an everyday player, which is amazing to see to me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But yeah, so that basically kind of wraps up my topic. Like I said, it's a short little topic just going off of last week, but I think your topic is going to be a little more interesting and a little more in depth.
Yeah, so basically, there's going to be a roster crunch soon. It's kind of happening right now. We've seen Luke Raley get optioned in favor of Harold Ramirez, and then we've seen Quinn go on the injured list for really no reason, like he's not actually hurt. So Margot could come back. Wander was supposed to be the next guy. He experienced a little setback. It's kind of just general soreness, so there's really no concern there. But when he comes back, the Rays are going to have to make a decision in the roster, and somebody is going to have to get optioned or DFA'd. So who do you think it's going to be, really? I mean, with Wander coming back, it could be Chang, it could be Walls, it could be I don't know. I mean, maybe like a phantom IL stint for like somebody else, but yeah, who do
So
you think?
I have a really hard time with that question because I don't want Taylor Walls going anywhere. I know he's not the best at the plate right now, but his defense is so good.
He's got
And
like a 173 WRC plus over like his last 50 plate appearances. He's good now. He's
he's
been
he's stepped it
98
up a
WRC
lot.
plus since July 1st too.
Yeah,
So
he's
league
he's
average
definitely
hitter.
stepped it up a lot. So even that, it makes it even harder to decide because
Yeah.
like Chang is doing the same thing. Like Chang has been solid since being a Ray, and it just feels like I don't want to see either one of them go. But then who else is there? Like I don't think you're going to get rid of an outfield guy for Wander to come back onto the team, because then it's like, well, who are we going to get rid of from the outfield? The only one I could think of that isn't producing much because he hasn't really had too much of an opportunity, but a guy like Peralta. Like I know we just
Yeah,
traded for him, but if we had to get rid of just someone to get him onto the team, I would go with the guy that we just traded for who hasn't done much in Peralta.
I mean, if you do that, then he's gone and he's immediately going to get picked up by like New York, Boston,
Yeah.
Toronto, literally just any playoff contending team because he's a really good hitter. So, and they just gave up a pretty good prospect in him. So I don't think they would DFA him, but
Oh, I agree 100%. Like I don't think that's what's going to happen. If I had to pick what I think is going to realistically happen, it's probably going to be a guy like Chang Chang or Walls that get sent down.
yeah, I mean, Walls is probably the top 3 defensive shortstop in the game, and he's not third. Like he's definitely like
Yeah.
1 or 2. I think top 3 just sounds better because it's a nice
Agreed.
number,
Agreed. Yeah, you can't say top
he
two.
yeah, I mean, and he's pretty close to the best defensive shortstop. He's probably like a top 5, top 10 defensive infielder. So he's been a league average hitter. Actually, after today, it's probably right at 100 WRC plus since July 1st, which is a really good sample size. It's like 160, 170 plate appearances. So
Yeah.
I think he's staying, and he could get optioned, but really, I think with Wander's little setback he had, I think they might wait until like September 1st when rosters expand and then just add Wander then, because then they don't
Ah,
have to do anything really. I mean, except for activate him. But if he's ready to come back before that, they're gonna bring him back because he's just really like a generational talent. Like he's a 5-6 F WAR shortstop every season. So you want him in the lineup. So I think it's probably if they decide to bring him back before September roster expansion, it's definitely going to be Yu Chang who goes. I love him, but it's lightning in a bottle with him. I think they learned a lot more about how to change a player's swing decisions to make them better. So I mean that's like some good info that they get to keep, but yeah, I think we're going to see Wander come back. Chang gets DFA'd, and then Walls kind of slides into like a backup shortstop utility infielder role. But honestly, Walls should be playing shortstop every day. He's the best at it. So maybe they'll do that with Wander kind of like on a DH kind of role as he is coming back from injury. But roster expansion is literally like 11 days away. So it's coming up. Like we have to start thinking about it. I'm sure on our next episode we could talk more about it, but it's not the September call-ups they used to have. They're just adding one bat, one arm, and the rosters go from 26 to 28. So
yeah.
yeah,
So it feels like why not, with it being literally 11 days away? I feel like we're playing very, very well now. Why not just? I feel like you made the perfect idea, I guess I should say, is just wait the 11 days and activate him. Then we don't have to get rid of anyone, and then we have everyone that's performing really well ready to go still.
yeah, exactly. And it's really not going to kill the team to wait. Like realistically, like if he didn't have a setback, he would probably be getting activated like Tuesday, Wednesday, like this coming week. But
Yeah.
with the setback, it could be like Monday the following week. So it's really not that much longer. It's like, 3 or 4 games, but who knows? The Rays are going to make the smart decision. They're not going to rush anybody back. They're not going to hurt him more. Um, the playoff roster is going to be 26. So, roster expansion going from 26 to 28, it'll go back to 26 before the playoffs, but it'll still be nice for players to get like a breather, get an extra bullpen arm. So should be interesting.
Now, do you think that a guy like Glasnow comes back for our arm? I know that we're kind of talking about roster crunch for when Wander comes back, but you said we get an extra in the 11 days, we get an extra arm as well. Do you think a guy like Glasnow, who threw his first bullpen session today, has the ability to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bank on it just
Yeah.
because, like, I'd rather have a fully healthy, like I don't know, like a fully, because what roster spot is going to take? Maybe like a lower end reliever like Ryan Thompson, who's been good, but he's still not the best arm in the pen. But I'd rather have 100% know what you're getting Ryan Thompson than a question mark Tyler Glass now, just because I want him for 2023. I think like his 1 or 2 innings every 4 or 5 days isn't
Yeah.
really going to be the thing that makes or breaks this team as a playoff team. So
Yeah, I mean, imagine a Glass now, McClanahan, Rasmussen, maybe Kluber lineup next year.
yeah, that would
Like
be cool.
it'd be the best lineup in the game, or the best
Yeah.
rotation in the game.
Yeah, I don't know if Kluber's going to stick around. Is he on
Yeah,
a 2-year deal or is it a 1-year deal?
I
I
was
don't
just gonna.
remember.
I thought it was a 2-year deal, but
We're going to
there's
go
a
send our intern to do some research here.
yeah. But if he's around, I mean, I think that's insane, that lineup. And even if it's not just another end of the line kind of guy, which, I mean, Springs, McKay,
Yeah.
like just that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, they've got depth for sure. They've got a lot of options. Okay, cool. Yeah, one year deal. Thank you,
All
intern.
right. Well, yeah, we appreciate that. But yeah, so I feel like, I mean, that's a good point. I'd rather have 100% healthy Glass now next year and have someone else fill that role this year and see what happens next year, kind of a deal.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I mean, is there anything else you want to touch on your topic?
No, I'm good. Do we? I still have COVID brain. Do we do players of the week now, or do we go through like the series stuff first and then players, or does it matter?
I mean, I don't think it matters, but normally we do the series recap or the weekly recap and then players.
Okay, yeah, okay, let's do that.
We're keeping that in too. The COVID brain. It's a
Yeah,
side effect.
it's crazy. Like I looked at some of my tweets from this week, and like they're just typos and like extra random words, um, things that autocorrect is like, yeah, I'm just gonna you're on your own for this one. Like I can't help you. It's too much. So
And we
yeah.
should have had you. We should have had you making up some of the shirts that we designed with your COVID brain. Could you imagine? Could you imagine just some of the funny ass shirts we could have at shop.rblrsports.com if if we had been doing the typing up this week?
I mean, really, listeners could just use promo code Flappy. That's FLAPPY for 10% off their order, and just see some of the things my 7 brain cells can collectively come up with. So I
Well,
honestly shouldn't be allowed to operate heavy machinery. Like I should not be allowed to drive a car right now. I genuinely feel that way.
well, if you don't want a Ben Whitelaw COVID brain T-shirt, we have all kinds of shirts on the shop. We've got Rays inspired, Bucks inspired, Rowdies, Lightning, anything you could imagine we have on the shop. So if you guys want to go check that out, be greatly appreciated. And Ben gave you the code Flappy, FLAPPY. That'll get you 10% off your entire order. So I highly recommend to go check that out. Now, Ben, this week we played the Orioles, the Yankees, and the Royals. Give us some tea. I want to hear it, man. How amazing was this week?
It was great. The Rays took care of business against Baltimore. That was one of the more important series they've had all year, and they came out with a win, which is nice for the tiebreaker. So that kind of just solidifies a playoff spot a little bit more.
Yeah.
Randy looked really good all week. He's just been hitting the ball hard. A little quiet today, but yeah, I mean he's just acting like every team he's playing is the Orioles, and every day is like October 7th because he thinks he's in the playoffs right now. So it's awesome.
Another guy who caught my eye this week, as far as a bat goes, is Yandy Diaz. I mean, he's been really good pretty much all season. I know we had a poll up on our Twitter at RBLR Sports, and it was, who's been the best slugger this year, and by a pretty wide margin, if I'm not mistaken. Yandy was voted by the fans as, someone who's been the best slugger on the team, and I think that this week just kept that trend going. He was, if you looking at the box scores, it felt like there wasn't a game that we had a run in that he wasn't a part of scoring those runs.
Yeah, I mean the quality of contact is crazy. He sprays it all over the field. Uh, Kind of a lot of ground balls, but he had a really nice double to the right center field gap today, which was cool. Just everything is like 95 to 105 off the bat. So really good stuff, and he gets on base a lot too.
Yeah, and he's been really good on the bases. Him and Randy both. You tweeted something, I believe it was earlier today, about how Randy is just the smartest player at the plate.
Yeah, he's really good when he's I mean, he's good all the time, but he's just so cerebral, and he's like, constantly doing that chess match slash tango with the pitchers, where he knows what pitch they're going to throw and what situations. So he definitely does his homework with the scouting reports, and he's got quick enough hands where he can spoil pitches, get to things and prolong an at bat until he gets something that he wants. And he's actually really selective. He doesn't seem like the type of hitter who would be selective at the plate, just because he does sell out for power when he does want to swing for power. But he's got like a swing rate, or an outside of the zone swing rate, like below 30%. He just doesn't really chase that much, even though it might seem like he does sometimes. He's really good at, hitting with two strikes. So maybe they reward him with a contract extension. Maybe they don't. He's still under team control through like 2027 or 2026. So there's really no urgency with that right now.
Yeah, no urgency, but I'd like to see it get done just so we know.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so what is, without going into like too much detail about our players of the week and stuff, what else impressed you this week? Because I know something that impressed me tenfold was Drew Rasmussen this week.
Yeah, he was really solid. There's really like nothing he did wrong at all. Like every pitch was located perfectly. There was a really nice article that Ian Malinowski wrote. He's a D-Rays Bay guy, about like the shape of Rasmussen's pitches and how it's really unique, and how like seam shifted wake is like incorporated. Basically, it's like nerd stuff, but it's really interesting because his pitches are, they're good, and they grade really well, and they're unique and stuff. And his fastball's got a good shape, and his cutter's got a good shape, his slider's good. But it's like every time a hitter makes contact with the ball, it's like he just threw like a 97-mile-an-hour sinker at the knees. So he just gets an insane amount of ground ball rates because of the way the ball is like spinning on its way to the plate and breaking late. So really impressive stuff. Like the kinds of things that he does really well are things that we don't really have public data on yet. But I think, 3 or 4, maybe 5 years from now, when we do, we're going to look back and see that Rasmussen is like a top 10, top 15 starter.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with you. And I mean, this week, if I'm not mistaken, this week alone in his last, I'm getting this from Rays Metrics, Cole over at Rays Metrics on Twitter. His last like 16.1 or 16.2 innings, he's only allowed 3 hits, 2 of those counting as today.
Yeah.
And it's just like he's doing everything right. And I know that this gives away my pitcher of the week, but I mean, I think it was obvious this week.
Yeah.
But it just he is playing some of the best baseball we've ever seen him play.
And he's really doing it like effortlessly too.
Exactly.
It's really cool. Like he's not laboring out there. He's throwing some of the better velo he's thrown all year. Despite being at like a career high in innings pitched by like 10 or 15 now, like he looks really fresh. So maybe he's like a 130, 140 innings candidate this year. I think he's up to like 110. So we're starting to get towards the end of that. But with the playoffs, they're just probably going to kind of let him loose a little bit. But yeah, going forward, I wouldn't be surprised to see a lot of 3, maybe 4 inning starts from him.
Yeah, I think you have to have that at some point with a guy who's already at his like the most he's ever pitched. I feel like you have to have that sort of, I don't want to say like a pitch count, but almost like a pitch count.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to be as strict as someone who just came off Tommy John surgery or anything, but I think that that's something that from the outside looking in, you need to at least acknowledge, like, okay, he's pitched way more innings than he's ever pitched before. Let's kind of keep a watch on it until the playoffs. And then, like you said, in the playoffs, let him loose, let him do his thing.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be conservative enough throughout the regular season that like when the playoffs happen or postseason happens, it's they can really just let the guys hang out there as long as they are comfortable and being successful. Like we saw it in the minor leagues in their postseason a lot last year, where a lot of starters went maybe 4, 5, sometimes 6 innings in their starts, but then come the postseason, like they were pitching 7, 8 innings, like it was nothing. So they will reward their pitchers and let them go if they're dealing, especially in the postseason. So just got to get there first, but I don't think we're going to have a problem with that.
Yeah, I agree. And another big thing that I picked up this week was we lost 2 games to the best team. I'm putting this in quotes. Best team in baseball, Yankees. We lost one, and then one to the Royals yesterday. Both of those games or both of those losses were in extra innings. It's like, do those even really count as losses? Because God knows that the extra innings rule is the stupidest thing in the world.
It should be like hockey where you get like if you lose in extras, you still get like a point or something, or like overtime, whatever they do. Like I don't.
No, you're right though.
Like the Rays were still in both of those games and questionable calls like unfortunately did them in. A couple walks to the Yankees that weren't really walks, that I got death threats over, and then the umpires took away 2 runners in scoring position yesterday from the Rays against the Royals, like from bad calls. Like Harold was he shouldn't have been leaning that far, but he didn't get picked off. Like he was objectively safe when you watch the replay, but the replay is broken, so it doesn't matter. And then Taylor Walls was thrown out trying to stretch a single into a double, but he was still safe. So it's frustrating, but like they're in every single game.
Yeah, this week was the first time where I can honestly be like, okay, we shouldn't have lost either one of those games. Like the Yankees loss came off of a Josh Donaldson grand slam.
Well, it was a 340-foot grand slam.
Yeah, and he acted like
fly out anywhere else.
Exactly, and he acted big and bad about it too. Like he's just the ultimate douchebag. Like he was literally, I'm a man. Yeah, you hit that literally in a little league park home run.
And it followed a walk to Anthony Rizzo where like Jalen Beeks only threw like 2 balls, but he somehow walked Rizzo. So it's really questionable stuff. But they're in every single game, and if you're in every single game and you've got a good team like they do, you're going to win most of the time. So, and they've been winning a lot, especially this week. So I mean, I was kind of waiting for a sound, but Zach, you're muted, so I missed out on that. But I saw you talking.
Sorry, guys, I was muted. But no, something else that was really big this week, and I know we're kind of jumping around back and forth, but I'm going to go back to pitching. Luis Patino came back this week and had a really solid game.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. I mean, we can do injury stuff later. Even though he wasn't really injured, he was, healthy in Durham. But, yeah, Patino looked great. He mixed his pitches really well. I think that was the first time in my life I've ever seen him throw, like, less than 50% fastballs. So he's definitely starting to become a pitcher. He tunneled everything perfectly.
Yeah.
Every single pitch looked exactly the same out of the hand, which was crazy. It was better than Rasmussen, and Rasmussen's pretty good at that. So really great stuff from Patino. I know that he got optioned after he pitched, but like they're not going to carry like dead weight on the roster right now because like he once he had that game, like he's not going to be able to pitch for like 5 or 6 days, and the Rays are in the middle of like a 17 game in a row stretch. So it's not smart to have him on, but he'll be back for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that he's going to be an important part later on. But I mean, that's all that I have from this week. Unless you have something else before we get into, everyone's favorite part, our players of the week.
No, that's pretty much it. I talked about the umpires, so We're good.
How
Yankees have
bad
no
they are.
teeth. They're going to collapse. I saw a tweet that I was looking for something about the Yankees collapse in my own tweets, and I saw one from June 20th about how they're going to collapse because of their bullpen management. And sure enough, it's happening. So feels
Yeah,
really good. It's really fun.
yeah, you called it, and I think you pissed off a lot of Yankees fans, which I couldn't be happier about.
Yeah, it's fine.
So, with all that, I think we'll start with our pitcher because it's pretty obvious. But who is your pitcher of the week?
Drew Rasmussen led the team in F WAR, like the entire team, hitters, pitchers, all that, like
Yeah,
with .7. That's crazy to do that in 14 innings this week. I did some quick math while I was getting on because we literally just finished the game today, but he had a 31.3 strikeout rate this week, a 2.1 walk rate. And when Fangraphs crunches the numbers, his FIP this week is going to be somewhere around 1.2. And that's crazy to do that over 14 innings. So good for him.
yeah, he was. I mean, obviously that's mine too. He was just one of the most unstoppable pitchers this week, and it just felt amazing to watch. Seeing as he's kind of, he's not our ace. To see him throw like an ace is, he's making a name for himself, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely. He's looked really great. He's been solid all year though, but
Yeah,
just
no, he has
recently
been
has
really
been
good.
crazy.
He has been really good all year, and this week just put him up another level in my book.
What about your bat of the week then?
See, so I think we might disagree a little bit on this one, because I feel like you're gonna go a Rosarena, but this is
Am
just a
I?
feeling. I don't know. See, that's why I said it's a feeling. I'm going with Yandy. Yandy is my bat of the week. Like I said earlier in the show, it felt like every run that we scored this week, or every game where we had multiple runs scored, it felt like he was a part of it somehow. Whether it was he scored the run, whether it was an RBI from him, he's my bat of the week.
Yeah, he's been really solid. Like he is probably I mean, I want to say he's like the team MVP. I know Shane
Yeah,
McClanahan had a great first half and he was the all-star starter. He's laid a couple eggs recently, but like I mean, he was good this week though. Like he was fine.
yeah.
But yeah, Yandy has been for me the team MVP. Like consistent. Just he's been the one of the better hitters on the team the entire year. Stays healthy. Plays pretty good defense too. Pretty underrated over there at third, even though he's a little bit better at first, but that's fine. He can man third base. But yeah, he's been awesome, and he had a really good week. I don't know too much about his numbers this week because they're still not fully updated on
Yeah.
Fangraphs, like with today. But I know he's been. I think he was second on the team in WAR and probably somewhere near the top in WRC plus.
Yeah, I'm not crazy on the numbers type of stuff. I'm more of a fan of the game part of it, where like that's why I love hosting the show with you, because you are the numbers guy. So what do the numbers say was the batter of the week?
Taylor Walls, so he's my
Oh
player of the week.
God,
Yeah.
I was way off.
After today, he had a .4 FWAR, which led all the bats on the team. And, Randy and Yandy both had .3, which is close, but,
Yeah,
a .1 difference isn't that big of a deal. But I really liked Walls with his walk rate this week. He had a 22.6% walk rate, just a 9.7% strikeout rate. And when Fangraphs crunches the numbers from today, his WRC plus is likely going to lead the team, and it'll be somewhere in the 190 to 200 range. He's probably the best defensive shortstop in the game right now. So that plus his bat this week, just taking his walks, being patient, he was phenomenal.
and you know what? I am completely cool with giving Walls the bat of the week this week, because I don't think he's had it at all this year, and I think that he's played very well this last month and a half. So I'm completely cool with giving Walls the bat of the week.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll have another chance to ever get it, especially with Wander coming back, but
Exactly.
it's good for him. He had a nice week.
Well, man, I mean, so we went over the games, we went over our players of the week, we went over our topics. Now, I'm sure you might have some injury stuff for us.
Yeah, there's kind of a lot. I'll just jump around, but like we said earlier, Quinn got some left knee soreness. I'm doing that in air quotes. He's literally fine. I think they're just buying him time to not DFA him. They might add him back on when rosters expand. That's another option. But, we'll see. I could see them adding in an outfielder just because Margot and Harold are going to need to be kind of getting some DH days and time off with them, still not. I mean, they're 100%, they're healthy, but you want to be cautious because their bodies are not used to playing every day for a while. So
Yeah.
anyways, Quinn's on the IL now, but he's fine. Matt Whistler, he's going to throw to hitters soon. He's still got his neck's a little dinged up. Wander, we said the soreness in his hand. His return is a bit delayed. That gives Chang a little bit more time, probably. Fire Eisen actually he's starting to throw bullpens now. He's aiming mid-September for a return. He's actually looking like he could come back this season after not looking like that for a while. Really crazy here, but the Rays have to make a decision on Nick Anderson literally on Monday because he's out of rehab time. So they're either going to have to activate him to the active roster and option or DFA someone, or they could actually activate him and then option him to Durham because he still has options, surprisingly.
Okay.
His velo is still down a bit. He's not looking great, but it's better than where he was a year ago. So maybe he's going to be okay. JT Shagwa kind of in the same boat as Anderson, where the stuff just isn't really that great yet. But Shagwa actually doesn't have any options, and his rehab clock runs out tomorrow. So the Rays are going to have to make a decision on him on Tuesday, either activate him and then maybe his stuff gets better on the major league roster, or they're going to I think they're going to end up DFAing him just because they don't really have time to stash a pitcher who's like at 60% on their roster. Like it's just not realistic. So
Yeah.
unless something magically changes for him tomorrow and he gets all of his stuff back overnight, I don't think he's going to be on the roster much longer, which is interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy. I didn't even think about it like that. And to think of where Nick Anderson was at when we got him and just how amazing he looked at that closer spot, to see where he's at now, where it's like, oh, we might not have him anymore in literally a span of a year and a half. It's kind of upsetting a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And, Johnny Chirinos, Brennan McKay, they're still working their way back. I think Brennan McKay actually both of them still have some rehab time, so they don't really have to make decisions too soon. But McKay looked really good in Durham the other day. He had close to like a 30% whiff rate in like a 4-inning outing. His stuff still isn't back yet, but he's getting there. Yanni Chirinos, though, did hit 96, so his stuff seems to be fully back. He just needs to get a little bit more reps, but he's someone that could be activated and added to the roster pretty soon. I think he has options, though, so there's time. Brendan McKay definitely still has options. Just lots of moving parts right now. It's kind of exciting, but there's going to be, the injury returning guy, roster crunch. And then there's also going to be the September roster expansion. Lots of movement that's about to happen in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I really am. I think it's going to be interesting, and I trust in the Rays and their front office to make the right calls. But I have a feeling there's some people that are going to go where we're going to be. I don't know if I'd say shocked, but upset about.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's just going to end up being like somebody is going to get left off the roster, and it could be, someone in Durham who's on the 40-man. It could be a Shagwa or Anderson who's just not 100%, but they don't have any more time. The Rays are going to make the best possible decision, but I think like a name that we've seen pitch recently or even this season, I think, somebody's going to have to go, which sucks, but they do have a lot of depth, which is always a good problem to have.
Yeah, it's like the most annoying problem in the world, though. Without sounding too negative, it's like it's kind of like the having too much money problem, where you're like, oh God, I'm just too rich. I don't know what to do with it. It's like we have all these players where we're like, yeah, I really want to see them play, but then they play and they do really good and they get sent down or they get traded, and you're like, what the hell? I was excited for him.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the September thing, the roster expanding is going to help, but it's still, there are just too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all that I've got, unless you've got something else you want to touch on before we go.
No, roster's expanding. Rehab guys need roster space, so there's going to be a lot of math. That's my that was my wrap up little thing I put in my notes is talk about rosters. So that's it.
Well, perfect. Before we get out of here, I would like to talk to the fans real quick and just appreciate you guys for listening this far in. I know this episode was a little bit long, but it's exciting stuff. So if I could ask you guys to do one more thing for me, I know that we did our awesome little shirt plug there, but if you guys could go wherever you're listening to this, just go and give us a like, a follow. We're on all the major podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Music, Google, wherever you're listening to it, just give us a like. And then if you could do us one more solid and go check out all of our social medias, we're on all the major ones at RBLR Sports, and just give us a follow. Let us know what you like, what you don't like. Just give us some feedback. We usually talk to you guys back. Maybe not Ben, but the rest of us do. And aside from that, I'm going to send it over to Ben for the last word.
Yeah, go Rays. Yankees are collapsing.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.